USA. America invented the atomic bomb to end a war, then spent the next 80 years terrified of its own creation. The Manhattan Project cost $2 billion in 1940s money, employed 130,000 workers across secret facilities, and operated on one mission: build the bomb before Nazi Germany does. Turns out Germany wasn't even close, but nobody knew that at the time. The Trinity test in July 1945 proved it worked. Oppenheimer quoted Hindu scripture about becoming deaf. 3 weeks later, Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed over 200,000 people, and Japan surrendered 6 days after that. Mission accomplished. Then came the regret. America had unleashed a weapon that could end civilization, and every other major power wanted one too. The nuclear arms race began immediately. The Soviets tested their first bomb in 1949, shocking U.S. intelligence who thought they had another decade. By 1986, America had built 70,000 warheads. That's not defense strategy, that's planetary overkill. The country that invented nukes spent the Cold War building bunkers and teaching children that hiding under desks would somehow save them from atomic fire. Soviet Union. Stalin heard about Hiroshima and told his scientists to build a bomb immediately. The timeline was simple: get it done or face the gulag. Soviet intelligence had been stealing Manhattan Project secrets for years through spies embedded in Los Alamos. Klaus Fuchs, a German physicist working for Britain, handed over detailed blueprints of the plutonium bomb design. The Soviets weren't starting from scratch. Their first test came in August 1949 at Semipalatinsk in Kazakhstan, just 4 years after Hiroshima. Western intelligence expected the Soviets would need at least a decade. They were wrong. The bomb, nicknamed First Lightning, was nearly identical to America's Fat Man design, because it basically was Fat Man. Why reinvent the wheel when you can just photocopy it? The test shocked Washington and launched the Cold War into nuclear overdrive. America's atomic monopoly lasted exactly 4 years. Now both superpowers had doomsday weapons pointed at each other. The arms race went into hyperdrive. Duck and cover drills became standard in schools. Fallout shelters popped up in backyards. The world learned to live under the constant threat of annihilation, and it was all thanks to Soviet espionage and Stalin's paranoia. United Kingdom. Britain helped invent the atomic bomb. Then America cut them out and took all the credit. British scientists were key contributors to the Manhattan Project, sharing research and expertise throughout the war. Then, in 1946, the U.S. passed the McMahon Act, which banned sharing nuclear secrets with anyone, including their closest ally. Thanks for the help, now get lost. Britain decided to build their own. The program cost massive amounts of money the country didn't have after being bombed flat during World War II, but national prestige demanded it. Their first test came in October 1952 on the Montebello Islands off Australia. They irradiated Australian territory without much consultation. Colonial habits die hard. The test worked. Britain became the third nuclear power and proved they could still play in the big leagues despite being broke. They continued testing in the Australian outback and Pacific Islands through the 1950s, contaminating vast areas and exposing servicemen to radiation. But they maintained their seat at the table and kept the special relationship with America intact. Nothing says special like building your own doomsday device because your partner won't share theirs. France. France got excluded from the nuclear club, so they built their own bomb, fueled by pride and resentment. After World War II, America and Britain kept France out of nuclear discussions, despite being allies. Charles de Gaulle took this personally and launched an independent nuclear program in 1954. He wanted France free from American military dependence and NATO control. Their first test came in February 1960 in the Algerian Sahara Desert. They called it Gerbois Bleu and detonated it in someone else's country because contaminating French soil was apparently unacceptable. The explosion was 4 times more powerful than Hiroshima. France conducted 17 atmospheric tests in Algeria, then moved to French Polynesia for 193 more tests over 3 decades. The program succeeded beyond expectations. France developed its own warhead designs, built nuclear submarines, and created the Force de Frappe, an independent strike capability. They even built nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. De Gaulle got exactly what he wanted: complete strategic independence from America. France became the world's most passive-aggressive nuclear power, proving that spite is excellent motivation for splitting atoms. They remain outside NATO's nuclear planning to this day. China. China went from peasant farming to splitting atoms in 15 years through sheer determination and political will. The Soviet Union provided nuclear assistance in the 1950s, sending advisors in reactor designs as part of communist solidarity. Then the Sino-Soviet split happened in 1960, and Soviet experts packed up and left, taking their blueprints with them. China continued alone. The program operated during the Great Leap Forward, a famine that killed tens of millions. Resources went to bombs, while people starved. Priorities were clear. Nuclear weapons meant survival. Food was secondary. Scientists worked in remote facilities with limited equipment, reverse engineering Soviet designs from memory and scattered notes. Their first test came in October 1964 at Lop Nur in Xinjiang. The bomb worked. China became the fifth nuclear power and secured its seat on the UN Security Council. They developed hydrogen bombs by 1967, faster than any other nation. The program proved you don't need a strong economy or full stomachs to build doomsday weapons. Just political commitment and enough scientists. China's bomb guaranteed the regime's security and transformed the country into a global power overnight. Israel. Israel has nuclear weapons but officially doesn't, a policy that fools absolutely nobody. They built the Dimona nuclear reactor in the Negev desert during the 1960s with French assistance. When questioned, they claimed it was a textile factory, then a research facility, then a manganese processing plant. Satellite photos showed a massive reactor complex, but Israel stuck to the story. The program operated in complete secrecy. Workers signed lifetime non-disclosure agreements. Mordecai Vanunu, a technician who leaked photos to British press in 1986, was kidnapped by Mossad and imprisoned for 18 years. The message was clear: talk and disappear. Israel maintains a policy of nuclear ambiguity, never confirming or denying possession. Estimates put their arsenal at 90-plus warheads, with sophisticated delivery systems including submarines. Government officials occasionally slip up. Former ministers have essentially confirmed it exists, but official policy remains silent. This ambiguity serves strategic purposes. It deters existential threats without triggering nuclear arms races or international sanctions. Israel maintains the Middle East's only nuclear arsenal, while technically complying with international pressure. That's not transparency. That's the world's worst-kept secret with diplomatic immunity. India. India called their first nuclear test a peaceful nuclear explosion, which is the worst oxymoron in history. There's nothing peaceful about detonating a nuclear device, but India needed the fig leaf. They used a Canadian-supplied Cyrus reactor, given explicitly for peaceful energy research to produce weapons-grade plutonium. Canada was not amused. The test happened in May 1974 at Pokhran in the Rajasthan desert. Codenamed Smiling Buddha, the device yielded 8 kilotons. India claimed it was for civilian purposes like mining and construction. Nobody believed them. The explosion was clearly a weapons test, and the international community responded with nuclear sanctions and technology embargoes. India didn't conduct another test until 1998, but the program never stopped. They developed hydrogen bombs and missile delivery systems in secret. The second round of tests at Pokhran confirmed India as a nuclear weapons state, ending any pretense about peaceful purposes. The program achieved its goal: national security and great power status. But it also kicked off a South Asian arms race with Pakistan and proved the Non-Proliferation Treaty couldn't stop determined countries. India's peaceful explosion was anything but peaceful in its consequences. Pakistan's nuclear bomb was built by one scientist stealing blueprints from everyone he met. Abdul Qadir Khan worked at a Dutch uranium enrichment facility in the 1970s, copied centrifuge designs, and brought them home to Pakistan. He then shopped at the nuclear black market, acquiring components from Europe and designs from China. It was international theft on an unprecedented scale. Pakistan started the program after India's 1974 test made it clear they needed their own deterrent. Prime Minister Bhutto declared Pakistan would build a bomb even if citizens had to eat grass. Khan delivered. He set up centrifuge facilities at Kahuta and recruited scientists while operating essentially unsupervised. Their first test came in May 1998, just 2 weeks after India's second round. Pakistan detonated 6 devices in the Chagai Hills, proving they could match India bomb for bomb. It was the pettiest arms race in history, driven entirely by regional rivalry. The program succeeded, but created the world's most dangerous nuclear border. Pakistan and India have fought multiple wars and near constant tensions, now both armed with atomic weapons. Khan later sold nuclear technology to Libya, Iran, and North Korea, proving proliferation is terrifyingly easy. South Africa. Apartheid South Africa built nuclear weapons, then became the only country to voluntarily give them up. The program started in the 1970s with Israeli technical assistance and domestic uranium supplies. South Africa had the resources and the paranoia. They faced international isolation, armed resistance movements, and hostile neighboring states. They built 6 gun-type fission devices between 1978 and 1989, storing them at the Advena facility near Pretoria. The weapons were crude but functional, designed to be delivered by aircraft. A 7th device was under construction when the program ended. Then everything changed. Apartheid was collapsing, and the white minority government faced inevitable transition to majority rule. In 1989, President F.W. de Klerk ordered dismantlement of all nuclear weapons. By 1991, the program was gone. South Africa signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty and invited inspectors to verify complete disarmament. The timing was suspicious. They built nukes under white rule, then destroyed them before handing power to a black majority government. The official reason was ending Cold War threats, but the subtext was clear. They didn't trust the next government with doomsday weapons they built themselves. North Korea. North Korea's founding leader died in 1994, so the country coped by building nuclear weapons. The program started earlier, but accelerated after Kim Il-sung's death, and the Soviet Union's collapse left them isolated. Without Cold War patrons, the regime needed insurance against regime change, and nukes provided it. They withdrew from the Non-Proliferation Treaty in 2003 after being caught enriching uranium. International negotiations failed repeatedly because North Korea never intended to give up the program. Their first test came in October 2006, a partial fizzle that yielded less than expected, but proved they had a functional device. They've conducted 6 nuclear tests since then, each more powerful than the last. Current estimates put their arsenal at 30-plus warheads with improving missile technology. They test whenever they want attention or concessions, turning nuclear blackmail into state policy. The program succeeded completely. No country has seriously threatened regime change since they got the bomb. North Korea remains one of the world's poorest nations, but their nuclear arsenal guarantees survival. It's the ultimate insurance policy, and it works. That's not diplomacy. That's extortion with mushroom clouds. Almost nuclear. Honorable mentions to countries that tried building nukes but got bombed, invaded, or gave up. Iraq's Saddam Hussein built the Osirak reactor in the 1980s with French help, aiming for weapons capability. Israel destroyed it in a 1981 airstrike, delaying the program by years. Iraq kept trying until the 2003 invasion ended it permanently. Libya's Muammar Gaddafi ran a secret program using technology from Pakistan's AQ-Khan network. He gave it up in 2003 after watching Iraq get invaded, hoping cooperation would save his regime. It didn't. He was killed in 2011, teaching future dictators that giving up nukes is a fatal mistake. Iran has enriched uranium for decades, claiming it's for peaceful energy, while building facilities deep underground to survive airstrikes. They signed the 2015 nuclear deal limiting enrichment. Then the US withdrew, then Iran resumed. They're currently not building a bomb, while staying months away from having one. Syria had a reactor under construction until Israel bombed it in 2007. The pattern is clear. Getting nuclear weapons is easier than keeping the program secret. Every attempt draws international attention, and most end in explosions or regime change.